a lot of us are really like big science science fiction stuff, science fiction fans.
Hmm.
I told you about it, Skyward by
Yeah.
Brandon Sanderson. I think it's already
Hmm.
big. I think it's big enough, but I finally read it. My
Hmm.
first book of his.
Very
Message.
good.
So did that. What read that is good. It's a nice kind of mix of kind of Star Wars with the fighter pilot stuff, but also she finds her own ship that she rebuilds.
Yeah.
Got a good little twist ending. The ending's not great, but I think it kind of just ends. But I think it's got a good kind of like enough setup because the next book is already out,
Hmm.
and I think they kind of like were written pretty close to each other, so it's not too bad of an ending if you had to wait for it. So yeah, it's a nice fun romp, not too long. It didn't take me too long to read.
Oh, that's not too bad then. And what have you been watching lately?
Uh, for I'll just say for the blog because we're probably not
Mhm.
going to do anything on it. I'm on the last of what people consider the good seasons of Dexter.
Which season are you on?
I'm actually on the fourth one,
Oh, okay, I got you.
which is the last one that Melissa Rosenberg was showrunner for,
Hmm.
which I only started because she did the Birds of Prey TV show, which is really weird. And she's also the showrunner of Jessica Jones.
That's interesting.
What's more interesting is, do you know who one of the co-writers on the show is?
On Dexter?
Yeah,
No, who?
Scott Buck. Do you remember
What?
him?
He sounds familiar. I can't place him.
He is the one. He is the person who what he is the person that totally ruined Iron Fist
Ooh, okay.
and Inhumans. They got him for both of those
Ooh,
crimes. But
yeah.
oddly enough, pretty good on this show. I mean, I assume I've not watched any of the stuff after season 4 yet.
Hmm.
And I'm on the last good season. People say I can see why they say it, at least in terms of like thematic stuff going on.
Yeah.
But so it remains to be seen. But if and again like the showrunner leaves and then someone who in the future will make bad shows
Yeah.
takes over, then we can kind of see why it would stop being a
Why it
good show.
changed. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've tried to keep this out of my head while watching and writing of this can't possibly, I don't see how they can mess this show up because I know they do.
Unfortunately.
And final thing.
Hmm.
Uh I got the House of X, Powers of X, X-Men reboot graphic novel, which
Oh
has
yeah,
been
yeah.
the hyped thing right now, right? The big hype for new
Yeah, the big
X-Men.
yeah. And how's
Uh
that? You haven't finished it yet, have you?
no, I've got 4 issues left, I believe.
Hmm.
Hard to tell. The book is confusing as someone who's not super into X-Men comics.
Hmm.
The best way I can try to describe it to you is that it's if the X-Men Days of Future Past movie featured 4 timelines that you're cutting between instead of just 2.
Well, I'm glad they just did two because if they tried to do four, that movie would have gone down the hill.
Which it's not gone downhill because I'm kind of interested in what's going on.
Well, it's like one of those things that would work well in a comic, but just probably not transfer over so well in a movie.
No. So yeah, it's that's the best way I could describe it because it's got like the past. I guess it's got like the present, the
Hmm.
near future, like 10 years in the future, 100 years into the future, then 1,000 years,
Yeah.
and kind of like tying all that together with like mutant stuff, and basically trying to save mutants in the future by doing stuff in the past, and it uses oddly enough, remember in the I think she was in first class at least, the girlfriend of Xavier's?
Mm, yes.
Vaguely.
Vaguely.
In the comics, I don't know if this was always true. Her superpower, her mutant power, because in the movies we don't see one. In the comic, her mutant power is to basically not like regenerate, like she dies,
Hmm.
and then it's not clear if like her mind goes back in time, or if like her consciousness or whatever it is, and she goes back in time to back to being a baby again. And that's like her mutant power, so she keeps all of the stuff she's learned when she does that.
Yeah,
And so
that's
her
interesting.
So yeah, so one of the big elements is this: she does all of these different timelines and goes back when she dies, and like, okay, let me go find out what I am. Okay, now let me go, talk to Xavier. Okay, that didn't work. Let me talk to Magneto. That didn't work. Let me go talk to Apocalypse. That didn't work. And it keeps doing that, and so that's kind of like the crux of it. Of here's a bad future. We need her to know so she can go back in time and tell
Hmm.
Xavier, but it's not that clear because you're cutting between all of them, so you don't know that.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's good, and I played Doom Eternal, and it's fine.
Well, I think the only thing, the only two things that I've really been watching,
Yeah,
one of them is the HBO documentary McMillions
which I
about
want to watch.
the McDonald's scandal. It's really interesting. I always get myself caught up watching a bunch of documentaries, but this one's really interesting. It's something that I didn't know was going on. But if you've got HBO, definitely give it a shot. Check it out.
And it's going to be
Uh,
a Ben Affleck movie.
oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, I don't know if he's writing or directing it or what, but
Huh. Well, now I'm more curious than that because the documentary is so crazy. Like, you think it starts at the beginning, and you're just like, okay, well, you know, this is gonna go a certain way, but then as you start to learn more and more stuff, you're like, wow, this stuff is crazy. Like how this all happened, people working for the mob and everything. It's just it's one of those interesting documentaries because it just gives you a story that you don't know where it's going.
yeah,
Um,
because I did not watch it, but I listened to a podcast on it
hmm.
that was released just before it because it was not with it. It was not like in they were not like together, but it was someone who does looks at fraud stuff.
Hmm.
What is it? Because I tweeted at them, if you remember.
I remember. I can't remember who it was though.
Oh my
I
goodness.
remember
Anyway,
that though.
Swindo.
Um.
Swindo did a thing on it.
Oh yeah. The let's see the well, I've been doing a lot of editing lately, so I haven't had a whole lot of time to watch stuff. But I've been watching NCIS with my girlfriend, which if you know me, I've seen NCIS maybe 100 times. That's stretching a little bit, but I've seen a lot of it, probably 6 or 7 times over before. But this is her first time ever watching it, and she's hooked onto it. So I think we're into season 2 right now, about halfway, I'd say. She's loving it. It's something on whatever I'm working on things, just because I know pretty much whatever happens in each episode because I've seen it too many times.
Yeah.
But if you haven't seen it before and you like those kind of cop shows, I know that you may hear about NCIS LA or New Orleans or Criminal Minds. I like to think that this is my favorite one because of the characters in it. Like they've got good, murder of the week kind of stories, but it's the main core of characters that you get and how they're written that really keep me invested into the whole series. She was coming off of being hooked onto Grey's Anatomy and seeing that or watching that, over and over and over and over again. Now she's at the point where she's as hooked onto NCIS as she was on Grey's Anatomy when she first started watching it. So,
It's because
if
it's a
that's your
cozy
kind of
show.
thing, yeah, and
It's
it's
cozy.
not, yeah, you can do other things while you're watching it. You can enjoy the characters. It's a great show to, just to relax, like you say, cozy, relax to and watch. Um, and then the very last thing that I've been watching weekly is a new show on Fox called Lego Masters.
Oh, that looks so good. Do I need to watch it then?
I'm sorry.
Should I watch it? It looks good.
Yeah, it's really good. This week, I haven't watched it yet, but this week coming up, they're doing um, the teams that are left. They have to recreate a iconic scene from the Star Wars movies
That would
or
be
something
nice.
like that. That was just the preview, but it's really cool because you get to see these professional people like make some insane, builds out of Legos over a course of like 14 hours or 8 hours. They had to do one where they all had to build a bridge, and then they were putting weights on top of the bridge to see how strong their structures were. And I won't tell you who, but there were two of them that were able to hold up to 1,000 pounds, and they stopped at 1,000 because they didn't want to put any more on there for, safety reasons. But I mean, you're
That's
talking plastic
impressive.
Legos that can hold 1,000 pounds.
That is impressive.
But it's an awesome show. It's on Hulu right now if you want to check it out.
Yeah.